Hi, Melanie. Thank you for joining me today. Let's talk a little bit about saxophone vibrato. Do you play with vibrato already?
Yeah, I do a little bit.
Wonderful. So when I say vibrato, if you were to describe it to someone who didn't know what vibrato was, how would you describe that?
It's just a little bit of extra pizzazz to your music, I guess, to make it a little bit more interesting.
Absolutely. I love it. That's a great way of describing it. I usually say it much more boring. I usually talk about how it's like an ornament or it just adds a little bit of extra beauty to the sound. But I like pizzazz and I want to run with that. That's a great way of thinking about it. Well, let me hear you make some sounds with vibrato. Let's just play the note C, middle range of the instrument. We'll just play it as a whole note. And I'll play with vibrato and then I want you to play it with whatever the normal vibrato that you would play it with. So let's try this. Your turn. Let's give it a shot. Fantastic. You have a very nice vibrato you've been working on. Tell me how you make that sound on your saxophone. What are you doing?
Kind of like moving my jaw a little bit up and down to make it long.
Good. So what's interesting is when you move your jaw up and down, essentially what you're doing is you're increasing and decreasing pressure on the reed. And when you do that, in some ways, you change a little bit the way that it vibrates. So if you increase pressure on the reed, you shorten its vibrating wavelength and it brings the pitch up. And the same thing happens if you decrease pressure. So you're actually making the pitch go up and go down just a little bit in a repeating cyclic pattern. So what I want you to try now is I want you to do that same thing again, but this time, take a tiny bit more mouthpiece only because I can hear a little bit of the pinching of the reed off at the height of your vibrato cycle. So let's take a little bit more mouthpiece and try the exact same thing. Yeah, do you agree that opened your sound up and made the vibrato a little more open?
Yeah.
Fantastic. The next level to take your vibrato just to continue improving at it is to ask yourself the question based on the style of music you're playing, what vibrato is appropriate for that style of music. So if you're playing something slow and lyrical and beautiful, do you think it'd be more appropriate to have a slower, wider vibrato or a faster, narrower vibrato?
Slower and wider.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think if you've listened to a lot of music, you'd hear that that's kind of what a lot of professionals do. And then conversely, in more intense, fast moments of music, do we want a slower, wider vibrato or more of a fast, intense vibrato?
More fast and intense.
Great. Let's try to make some of those sounds. So what we're going to do is we can use the metronome to decide where we are, and we'll use normal subdivisions. So let's start right in the middle. This is a particular tempo that a very famous saxophonist named Jean-Marie Londeix likes to use for warm-ups, and it is 72 beats per minute. So we're going to use 72 beats per minute, and we're going to use 16th note subdivision for our vibrato. So I'll demonstrate first, and we'll just sort of play our F scale. So our concert A flat, we're going to start on our F, and just do the scale in whole notes. I'll demonstrate a few of the notes. We won't go all the way up, but I want you to play the first 5 notes of the scale. I'll do it first. Your turn. Have you practiced vibrato this way before?
Yeah, a little bit sometimes.
Does this feel like it's on the faster end of the spectrum for you?
No, it's pretty similar to what I usually do.
Fantastic. Let's try making it faster just to see where our limit is and where an intensity vibrato can work at faster tempos. I'm going to change this now to about 88. That's probably the fastest that I would use vibrato in this way. So it's going to sound much more intense. See how that's much faster? Let's try 16th notes at 88, and we'll just see how that feels for you. Give it a shot. Yeah, a little bit harder to play it that quickly, right? So that's a motion we could work on. Now again, this is not appropriate for all styles of music, but if I think of one of our famous saxophone excerpts, like a concerto by a composer named Ingolf Dahl, it has this big open moment, and I really want to have fast, intense vibrato. Much faster than something more lyrical. If I were to play something slower, I might use a slower, more so we can see there's a range. Let's experiment with a slower vibrato style. I'm going to slow this down to 60 beats per minute, and I want you to try to use triplets instead of 16th note subdivision. Wah, 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 wah. Let's try that.
On the...
I'll start on just the note. Yeah, let's do F scale. F scale again. Good, and we'll stop right there on the 5th note of that scale. Do you see how sometimes you want to go a little on the faster side, like you felt like you were pushing it a little bit? So one of the things we can do to practice vibrato is to practice it at different speeds with different subdivisions. So the fastest I went was 16th notes at 88. The slowest I went was triplets at 60 beats per minute. So within that range, we can work quite a bit to find what vibrato is more appropriate for the piece that we're playing. And one last thing that I want to leave you with for working on vibrato and practicing to take to that next level is we don't always want our vibrato to be synced up with a metronome. We want it to be free and to sort of just emote whatever we're trying to express. And if we make it always synced up with the metronome, that can be really hard for us to break free from, because we attach it to the metronome, we attach it to the pulse. So there's a really cool exercise we're going to do where we're going to keep the vibrato the exact same speed, but we're going to change the subdivision of the metronome. So we're going to start at 75 beats per minute, and you're going to play with 16th note subdivision, okay? So here we are. Wah, 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 wah. Play the same scale you just played with our 16th note subdivision at this tempo. Fantastic. Now you're going to use the same speed vibrato, but I'm going to change the metronome to 60 beats per minute. So now you're going to go from 16th note subdivision to quintuplet subdivision. Think 4 times 75 is 300, right? Well, 5 times 60 is also 300. So it's the exact same number of vibrato waves, but we're changing the subdivision so that we know if the tempo changes, we can still keep our vibrato the exact same, right? So if you were going wah 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 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Do you see how the vibrato speed stayed the same, but now we're doing subdivisions of 5? I'll do it once and then you try it. Let's have you give it a try. Good, we'll stop right there. It's a lot harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like thinking in subdivisions of 5, because we want to make it fall into an even number. So practicing this as a part of your daily warm-up routine can be really beneficial. Now here's what we're going to do. I want you to start on your F going up with 16th note subdivision. So I'm going to have the metronome on at 75 beats per minute, okay? You're going to go up the scale. When you get to that C, I'm going to cut it off. You keep playing. I'm going to turn it to 60. And when you go back down the scale, you're not going to change your vibrato speed at all, but it's going to become subdivisions of 5. Does that make sense? Let's try. Exactly. Let's try it. I appreciate that attitude. Here we go. Start at the beginning, subdivisions of 4, and just go up the scale, and then keep your vibrato speed the exact same. You're going to go F, G, A, B flat, C, B flat, A, G, F. Just go up and down a 5-note scale. Here we go. It is tough, but did you hear? You locked in, you got it. That worked really well. So we want to go up and we want to go back down. The hard part is you kind of need like a partner to run a metronome for you to make this work. Yeah. But you can set your metronome up at one speed, get it in your ear, go up the scale, and then turn it on at the other one, right? So I'll demonstrate for you. I'm going to start it at 75. And I want you, well, we'll just get 75 in our ear. So here we go, we're at 75, right? Getting that sound in my head. Da, 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 da. Okay, so now I have 75 in my ear. I'm tapping my foot still, okay? When I reach the note C, can you just hit the play button for me? I'll cue it and I'll demonstrate. Ready? Do you hear how that works? That only happens because I've practiced that a lot, right? But you can take that idea, take it home and practice that. And then now what you're doing is you're figuring out how to keep vibrato speed relatively consistent across different tempos. So that when, let's say you put your metronome on and you're playing a piece at 120, well, as you know, if vibrato is really tough at 88, we don't want to try 16th note vibrato at 120. It's way too fast, right? So we've got to be able to use different derivations or different subdivisions of the beat for our vibrato to stay within that zone of acceptable. So, and that takes time, that takes practice. The most important detail is ask yourself, does this vibrato speed seem appropriate for the piece that I'm playing and the mood that I'm setting? And if it doesn't, make a change. And you'll probably have a lot of success with your vibrato playing. You sound great, you have a wonderful vibrato, and I look forward to hearing all the great things you accomplish with your continued evolution as a musician. So thank you for working with me today.
Thank you.